Hello, Accelerated Math 7-8 students. We are starting our next lesson, and it is called Circle Fun, and we can find that on page 44 in my comp book, and this is video number 20, I think, if we're keeping track that way. Module 9, lesson 9 is what this will be called, so Module 9, lesson 9. And we're going to take our knowledge that we've been learning about expressions and equations, and we're going to apply it to some geometry today. So, circle fun. The goal. Today we will learn the parts of a circle and about its circumference and area. Okay? So, the first thing that we need to do is look at the question that I want you to be able to answer by the end of today's lesson. So, what do you notice about the diameter and the circumference of a circle? That's what I want you to be thinking about today. Okay, things to know. I am going to warn you, most of the notes that we're going to be taking today are truly just a vocabulary review. And I'm hoping it's a review because I think you have learned all this stuff, but we'll see. So things to know. A circle. A circle is a set of points all equally distanced from the same center point. Okay? A set of points all equally distanced from the center point. So basically what you have is you have a middle point, and then you measure with a ruler, and you measure a whole bunch of points going all the way around the same center point, and when you connect them, you get a circle. Okay? So a circle is a set of points all equally distanced from the center point. A radius is the distance from the center to the set of points. So each one of these, starting at the middle and coming out as a radius, a radius, a radius, a radius, a radius, a radius. One of the things that I like to think about with a radius is if you know what a bike spoke is, okay? A bike has many spokes, and a bike spoke is that piece of metal that goes from the center of the bike tire out to the outer edge that holds the tire up. So I like to pretend that a radius is also something like a bike spoke. So that will help you too. So the radius is the distance from the center to the set of points. So you go to any point that's out here and you connect it, and that's the radius. A diameter is the distance from one point to another passing through the center point of the circle. So in order for it to be a diameter, and this is really, really important that you understand that, it connects the 2 points on the outer edge of the circle, but it must pass through the center point. If it doesn't pass through the center point, then it's not a diameter. The only thing that makes this a diameter is that it passes through that center point. So it's connecting the 2 outer points of the circle, but it has to pass through the center to be considered a diameter. Okay? So the distance from one point to another passing through the center point of the circle is what a diameter is. Okay? Some more words that you need to be aware of. Circumference. Circumference is the distance all the way around the outside set of points of the circle. So let's look at this. My picture, believe it or not, has color coding. I don't know if you've figured it out yet, but you notice the circle itself had the green points that created the circle. The radius is purple, so we drew a picture with the radius, and it's purple. The diameter is orange, going from point to point through the center, okay? And then the circumference is actually the distance that connects all the points on the outer edge of the circle. So the circumference is like a fence that's encompassing all of these points. So the circumference is the distance all the way around the outside set of points of the circle, okay? Another vocabulary word that you need to know about is pi, okay? Pi is the circumference of every circle. So pi is the distance all the way around every circle, which is a little more than 3 times the diameter. If you were to take the diameter, this orange one, and let's say we start it right here and we drape it around here, it would go to about here, and we'd have to get another diameter, drape it around here, get another diameter, drape it around here, and then it would end just slightly short of where it's supposed to close up that circle, and so that's why we have a little bit more. So if we go back to the definition of pi, we have pi is the circumference of every circle, which is a little more than 3 times the diameter. So you have to have 3 diameters and a little bit more. It has a special symbol, and the special symbol looks like that, just 2 lines going down with a squiggle on the top. And then basically the way that you figure out pi is you take pi equals the circumference divided by the diameter. So if you know the circumference and you divide it by the diameter, you're going to get pi. It's very interesting. We'll play with it on the calculator in class. The next thing that you need to be aware of is a semicircle, and a semicircle is exactly how it sounds. Semi means part, circle, so we're having a part of the circle, and a semicircle actually is exactly in half, okay? So it's an arc that is half of the circle created by the diameter. So when you draw a circle like this, a semicircle means that it's the diameter, so you know it has to go through the center, and it's an arc that shows you exactly half of the circle. So this is called a semicircle because it's part of the circle, and we know that it's half because it passes through the center of the circle, which makes it the diameter. So a semicircle is an arc that is half of a circle created by the diameter, okay? Some other really important things that you have to know is important formulas, and we're going to be using these when we practice with our work in class tomorrow. So you need to understand that the circumference is created by taking 2 times the radius times pi, okay? 2 times the radius times pi. And the reason we can go out of order like that is because multiplication is commutative. And the other reason why it's written this way, C equals 2 pi r, is because people have gotten formulas just written down so that they can remember it. But the thing that always confused me a little bit about this formula is why didn't they put the 2 next to the r? And I think the only reason they didn't is because of ABC order. I could be completely wrong. I don't really know. I've always asked myself, well, why doesn't it say C equals 2r pi? So you can just know that because of commutative property, the order of multiplying these 3 items can be in any order, and that gives you the circumference, okay? Remember, circumference is the outside of the circle, not the inside, the outside of the circle. Another way to find the circumference, so the outside of the circle, is by taking the diameter and multiplying it by pi. This right here should be making a little bell go off in your head. That explains why there are 2 radius, because in order to do a diameter equals 2 radii. Okay, the plural for radius is radii. So you take 2 radii and add them together, and that gives you 1 diameter. So that's why we have 2 pi r up here, and down here we just have d pi, because diameter is the same as 2 radii. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty clear to you. The last one that we are talking about, totally switching gears, because we were talking about circumference up here, which is really the perimeter of a circle. We're now going to also play with, in class, finding the area of a circle. And the area of a circle is the amount inside. So we have the circle itself. We want to know how big the inside of the circle is. So in order to find the area of a circle, you take area equals pi times radius squared. So you're going to take the radius, square it, then multiply it by the pi, and that will give you the amount of space or the area inside the circle. The reason why we're bringing all of this information in right now instead of in geometry is because these are all equations, and we've been working on expressions and equations and figuring out how to solve them. So one more thing I want you to write off to the side is to find any of these, just substitute the numbers for the variables and solve. So they're going to give you, they're going to say, oh, the radius is 4. How do you find the area? Okay, so you would take 4 squared, which is 16, and then you would type 16 times pi, and that gives you the area. The one other thing that I want to remind you, and you should be remembering this because I drilled it into your head last year, what does area always have to be? Area equals squared. Remember we talked about that. Area squared, area squared, area squared, area squared, okay? And the reason that I want you to remember that is because when you label your measurements in this exercise, and anytime you're working with geometry, area always has to have the units of measure squared. Okay, so don't forget that. That's another reminder. I don't really have any practice problems for you because I want you to practice them from the packets that I'm going to give you in class tomorrow. Just be very comfortable with the idea that if I give you R, that you could figure out area. If I give you the D, you could figure out circumference, okay? And again, it's just plugging in those numerical values for the variable. The variables that you're going to see are R and pi and D and pi and R, and remembering how to square something. So those are the variables that we're talking about, and you should be able to find that information. It's pretty fun, pretty easy, okay? There will be some fun stuff that challenges you a tiny bit, and we'll get to that as it comes. All right, so let's go back to our question of our lesson. Our goal today, we will learn the parts of a circle and about circumference and area. I feel pretty comfortable with that. What do you notice about the diameter and the circumference? I'll give you a big giant hint. Think pi. Okay, think pi and being able to answer that question. All right, my dears, that's it, and I will see you all tomorrow.